the split here is like one of my favorite splitters. It'll be one of the most distinct splitters probably in baseball the second he steps on a major league mound. So yeah, he's worth more than Yamamoto in my opinion. This isn't really like a monetary concern. Like we're not debating how much he's going to get or how much he's worth because like 30 teams are going to probably offer him whatever's left in their pool and figure it out from there.
You've been looking in depth at Roki Sasaki. We're getting a ton of questions from fans about him, of course, asking if he is going to sign and be able to break loose from NPB this year. But can you tell me what he would bring to the table?
Yeah, super electric arm. This dude is like kind of unbelievable. I think the central question, if you're a front office trying to figure out whether you actually want to add him to your roster for the coming season, is what happened from 23 to 24 in terms of his fastball shape and velocity dip. He was a guy that in 2023, as you see on the screen right now, he averaged like 99, sitting 99, which is just insane. And then he fell to 97. And now there's a lot of rumors around like, oh, he was just preserving his arm, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think I totally buy that without some biomechanical analysis that actually allows me to see that he's still moving as efficiently. And I just don't think we're obviously going to get that given that data is not really available. So if you're front office, you got to figure out exactly what happened to him from a movement pattern standpoint between 23 and 24 and whether you can get him back to 23. And I'm not even necessarily saying that from the pure velocity side. I think he could survive if he was more 97, 98, but the decline in his shape on that board you guys just showed is the biggest thing because one of his superpowers, so to speak, on the pitching side is the ability to throw really hard and create a ton of total movement on his fastball. And that's the big thing from an evaluation standpoint. I'm pretty confident front offices are digging into as to whether they want to sign him.
You had said right at the end of your first evaluation on him, you said they're not sure if they're going to want to sign him. Everybody wants to sign this guy, right? He's had success. And all the guys I talked to that have played there says he's actually better than Yamamoto, just less control.
I agree with that. I think he is a better pitcher than Yamamoto, especially if he flashes anything like he flashed in the WBC in 2023. I'm definitely getting past, like, we're getting deep in terms of talking about, like, the small little subtle changes as to, like, how he moved differently, et cetera. But at the end of the day, I do think any team is just probably offering their max international pool and is like, do you want to sign with us? And I feel like, again, it just goes back to Sasaki as like, hey, where do you want to sign, man? You can kind of pick wherever you want to go. And I think I'm talking about all these nuanced things because I do think different organizations have different aptitudes for fixing all these things, right? If you want to remove the whatever percent chance that's very high he goes to the Dodgers, which I do agree with you, is probably where he ends up. But let's say he doesn't end up there. Let's say he goes to like another random organization, like the Angels, for example, right? They probably need pitching. They can use velocity. They have history of signing Ohtani, et cetera. Like maybe he goes there. I'm not as confident in the Angels pitching brass to fix these various things that we're talking about. So maybe he underperforms relative to what we're talking about. But again, for the price, yeah, I mean, he's going to be like a plus value player. I'm the nerd here. Come on. I'm the guy digging into like the nuance of what's happening and how he moves and the shapes that are being different and maybe him not being as exceptional as 2023. But the overall package here is incredible. And I'm definitely knocking him on this fastball thing. But the split here is like one of my favorite splitters. It'll be one of the most distinct splitters probably in baseball the second he steps on a major league mound.
Lance, how much do you think he's worth if he wasn't restricted by the current system, right? So let's say he's just a free agent right now. Does he command a similar deal to Yamamoto's $325 million and also the $51 million that they had to spend on the posting fee, talking about the Dodgers?
I do. I think he's worth more than that, honestly, just because of the underlying velocity and how prized that is in Major League Baseball. I just think he's a fascinating pitcher. Like, I think there's a lot you could do with him from a development standpoint. He doesn't really spin the ball that well. That's probably the one slight concern you have. You saw Yamamoto towards the middle of the year and into the playoffs start to break out a nasty sweeper up around like 2,800 RPM. That thing, I think, is going to be a weapon for him next year as he starts to expand usage of it. But with a guy like Sasaki was under 2,000 RPMs on his slider in this most recent season. Like, he's definitely more of like a weird fastball, super distinct splitter. I think a smart team would probably just push the velocity really, really high on a cutter slider pitch against righties to get him something going away. Maybe you flash a big curveball with him. You add a sinker if he's having problems with the forcing to righties. Like, there's definitely some development to do here. And I think that he's just, the velocity talent here is just unbelievable. And I think that would push him over whatever the dollar figure Yamamoto had, as you mentioned right there. So yeah, he's worth more than Yamamoto in my opinion. It's such a low dollar value off the bat that it probably doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, maybe we're digging too much into the specifics here. Like, wherever he goes, like it really comes down to how that team adjusts the various finite things that will make him better. But this isn't really like a monetary concern. Like we're not debating how much he's going to get or how much he's worth, because like 30 teams are going to probably offer him whatever's left in their pool and figure it out from there.